Back in 1992, Nintendo released the first ever Mario Kart game, Super Mario Kart for the SNES. This game was a revolution, especially for kart races, but looking back on this game, it has not aged well at all. But 4 years later, we'll get the game's sequel, Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64. This game was a revolution, launching pretty much next to the Nintendo 64. This game was the first entry in the series to be 3D and support 4 players. And still today, people think this is the best Mario Kart multiplayer. But this game also included a lot of other really cool features, like the tracks. Although not as good as the newer tracks, these tracks are still really creative. I think the tracks shine the most in the first cup of the game, the Mushroom Cup. Loving Mario Kart 64's Mushroom Cup, I wanted to go back to this cup and see if these tracks do hold up, and what the future incarnations did to make these tracks even better. So let's talk about the first track of the Mushroom Cup, Luigi's Raceway. This track is of course the beginner track, and although this is really basic, it is actually a pretty good beginner track. And let's keep in mind, this is the sort of track Mario Kart fans were used to at the time. Starting off, let's of course talk about the name. So of course it's Luigi's Raceway. In Mario Kart 64 there are no circuit tracks. Instead we have raceways, for some reason. But now let's talk about the track. This track is really basic, with only a few turns and a cool underground tunnel. A standout with this track for me is all the shortcuts you can do, but this course is also visually nice for a Mario Kart 64 track, with Luigi scattered all over the track. The coolest Luigi reference is this hot air balloon with his face on it and an item box underneath. And if you get the item box, you'll always get a blue shell, even if you're in first place, so that's fun. There's also a bunch of advertisements. As I'm sure you're all aware, the Japanese version of Mario Kart 64's advertisements were all parodies. There's one advertisement that is exclusive to this track, which is this 64 poster. In the Japanese version, this ball was orange, and was a parody of the 76 gas station logo. This track also got remade in Mario Kart 7, with some noticeable changes. Starting off with the graphics, this track looks quite a lot better on the 3DS. Noticeably, a lot of the 2D objects have become 3D or just look better. The most notable things are the trees and Luigi's hat. Now, moving to the layout, the biggest thing this remake adds is the ability to drive on these stands. Because of this addition, there is now coins and boost panels on them. A cool small addition to this course is the me on the hot air balloon. And good news for all the blue shell haters out there, because the item box now gives you a random item instead of a blue shell, which is weird because they still have the OP item box on DK Pass, so I don't know why they made this change. But a much better change is this Luigi poster, which looks a lot better in this version. And although we saw the advertisements from the original, a few of them have had minor changes. Like this Nintendo advertisement, which is now grey and white instead of red and white, for reasons. And also the 64 ball has gone from red to blue to now yellow, for again reasons only known by Nintendo. And finally, the music now sounds more clean. Here's comparison. And finally, Luigi's Raceway appeared once more in Mario Kart Tour, in the Mario and Luigi Tour in 2022, with a handful of changes. The wall with the grandstand is now transparent, and the Mario Kart 64 advertisements have been replaced with the ones in Tour. A small addition that this version adds is lights in the tunnel. They also redesigned the hot air balloon, and got rid of the me, and you're still not guaranteed a blue shell when you get that box. And I bet you can't guess what else they redesigned. Yep, they redesigned the 64 poster for the 4th time. But at least this is the best version of it. Also, you know the TV screen on top of the tunnel which shows you racing? Well, now it just shows random footage of Mario driving, for reasons. And finally, the music is pretty much the same as the 3DS version. The second track of the Mushroom Cup is a precursor to Moo Moo Meadows' Moo Moo Farm. I personally find this to be one of the most overrated Mario Kart courses. I think the layout of this course is a lot more boring compared to Moo Moo Meadows. However, there are a few interesting things on this course. Like these two bridges you go under. They don't change up the gameplay that much, but they're still cool. And then a cool visual is the Nintendo logo on the floor. And then we have those stupid Monty moles. I hate them so much. I will have my chance to complain about them later, but first let's talk about probably the most interesting part of this course, the background. The background is full of 2D textures of cows and trees, and even this cool Moo Moo Farm sign. And that's about it for the original version of this course. However, this track reappeared as a second course in the Shell Cup and Mario Kart DS. This track is pretty faithful to the original. However, this track is held back by some of the limitations of the DS. The background is noticeably worse, with the cows somehow looking even more 2D. And now the music sounds like it's made up of beeps and bops, and overall sounds less smooth than the original. Take a listen. And they also updated the Monty moles in this version. But do you know why I really don't like this course? Well, Freeze S6 Mario Kart DS mission mode. I bet the developer that made this mission hates everybody. So you play as Luigi on Moo Moo Farm and have to hit 5 Monty moles with green shells. And yes, it's as bad as it sounds. I have beat the mission, but I haven't got a star rank, and I'm pretty sure it's impossible. Well anyway, now on to a much better course, that being Koopa Beach. This course is actually pretty complex for a Mushroom Cup course, and it's my second favorite course in this game. This course gets its name from the Koopa Troopa shaped rock near the start of the course. You can even go around this rock to take a slower path for some reason. This track is pretty obsessed with boost ramps. Two of the most noticeable boost ramps are the one that sends you into this cave shortcut, and there's also this really weird one that gives you an item box if you manage to pull it off, but most of the time you just fail it or hit the rock and spin out. And if you do manage to do it, then it's actually slower than the normal routes. Of course you can use a mushroom to cut across the ocean, just make sure you don't get too deep into it. Sometimes a tide will come in and allow you to take a shortcut across the wet sand. So this track is very fun and relaxing. Let's see what the future incarnations did with it. The Mario Kart 7 version of Koopa Beach gives it a more cartoony look. The Koopa Rock looks a lot more clean in this version. This time you can get a coin by going the longer route. They also moved the boost panel to get into the cave. It's now over the water, and you need to use a mushroom to get to it. And in true Mario Kart 7 fashion, it's been turned into a glider ramp. Shortcut in this version doesn't cut out as much of the track as the original version does. It also made this ramp a lot smaller, and now puts you into a glider. Rock you fly over looks more like a shell, and it now gives you a coin instead of an item box. Lame. Because you can drive underwater in this game, they got rid of this shortcut. And finally, the music in this version is pretty much the same, just smoother. This track was also one of the first tracks to be added to Tour. Because this was an early Tour track, not much has changed from the 3DS version. Outside of a visual upgrade, noticeably was the trees and boost panels. The biggest change is probably the coin ring on top of the Koopa shell rock. Now, I didn't really want to talk about the tricks of reverse versions of these tracks, but I think I have to make an exception with this course. Because a dinosaur from Dino Dino Jungle makes an appearance in the trick version of this course in Tour. If this course is in a future Mario Kart game, this dinosaur has to make an appearance in the normal version of this course, let's be real. And now let's talk about the final track of Mario Kart 64's Mushroom Cup, Kalimari Desert, which is also my favorite track in this game. So at first this might seem like a very relaxing course, but that's not really true. For the most part you'll just be driving around a desert, but there's one obstacle in this track that is really chaotic, and it's this train. I don't know how Nintendo managed to pull this off, but there's 2 trains that go around this train track. And it feels like every time you're about to cross the train track, the train comes, forcing you to either brake or be run over by the train. It's literally the best thing ever. Another noteworthy thing about this track is all the off-road that you can use a mushroom to cut across. But my favorite thing is probably ironically the train tunnel, because Nintendo allows you to take an alternate path through the train tunnel. I mean, it's a lot slower than the actual path, but it's so cool, and I wish Nintendo would do this with their newer courses. This track also reappeared in Mario Kart 7. Yes, 3 of the 4 Mushroom Cup 64 tracks were remade in 7. But this version has a lot of cool features to this track. Most noticeably, this version has a lot of ramps to this track. First we have a glider on the side of the mountain. Then we have this giant glider ramp in between the train lines. And we have 2 normal ramps on the main path. And finally, if you have a mushroom, you can take this ramp near the finishing line. I also didn't notice this while talking about Luigi's Raceway, but all the advertisements have been upgraded in some form. While these changes are cool, there's one change that isn't cool at all. You can no longer go for the train tunnel! Damn you, Lakitu. You better be able to go for the train tunnel in the next version. And the next version of this course is Intor. This version did not change up the layout of the 7 version that much. Well, it did change the track quite a bit visually. Biggest change is that the sign above the starting line is now wooden. It also added a wheel leaning on the sign, and rope around one of the corners. So again, all the advertisements are now ones from Tour, and some of the cactuses now have flowers on them. That's pretty much all the Tour version did. Now if they let us drive through the tunnel, this track would be perfection. Oh, the auto steering doesn't allow that. Okay, Nintendo, I need you to update Mario Kart Tour right now to allow me to drive through the tunnel in Kalimari Desert. I don't even care if you allow me to do that in a sequel to the track. Just allow me to drive through the tunnel in Kalimari Desert, otherwise I'm never playing Mario Kart again. Oh wait, they actually made a Kalimari Desert too. And oh my god, they actually allow you to drive through the tunnel. I'm not gonna lie, this track blew me away when it first got added in 2020. I had just started playing Tour, and this update added Cowboy Wario, the All Clear Pipe, and Kalimari Desert too. Mario Kart Tour was getting so much hate, especially around this time, and this update made me feel like Nintendo actually cared about the game. And this track is really fun. So the sequel allows you to jump over the train, and of course makes you go through the tunnel. This track is weirdly 1 lap. But I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not like they're making Wii Rainbow Road 1 lap. Oh, wait. And finally, this track got added to Wave 2 of the Booster Course Pass in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. A lot of visuals have been added to this version, such as patches of grass in the sand, bird flying in the sky, and a warp pipe on top of this mountain, which I imagine would send you there. Also, while they just used the advertisement for Mario Kart Tour, there's now lights on top of the billboards. But that's not the coolest part about this course, because on the first lap you go through the route of the original Kalimari Desert. But on the second lap you go through Kalimari Desert 2. The layout had been changed slightly from the original Kalimari Desert 2. Firstly, specifically on the second lap, this ramp will show up. And also, instead of the normal train barrier from Kalimari Desert 2 you would expect to see in this stage, they now have these arrows which you usually see in the Tour City courses in this game. Also, I needed to double check this, but I don't believe those arrows appear anywhere in Tour. But anyway, this track is kind of only 2 laps. Although it might actually go for the length of 3 laps, I'm not really sure. But anyway, in this version they changed the music quite drastically. They use an instrument in the Mario Kart 8 version, I don't know what it is, but here's a comparison anyway. Well anyway, that was interesting to research. It's amazing to see that these 4 courses have survived the test of time. Okay, maybe not Moo Moo Farm, but man, these 3 courses are mega. But anyway, that will do it for this video. If you enjoyed this video at all, you should definitely give it a like, because I don't know if I'm going to continue this series. But if there's enough support on this video, I will do the other 3 cups in this game. And who knows, maybe I'll even do the other 8 Mario Kart games. But anyway, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to see Koopa Troopa Beach in Wave 6, hit that bell for notifications. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.